Hey folks, in this episode we review our epic trip to Yellowstone National Park. The Old Faithful Geyser area, Grand Prismatic Spring and Overlook, Lamar Valley with all its buffalo, and Mammoth Hot Springs are just some of the things we see. We also see a bunch of animals, of course. Come along.
Make sure you click subscribe so you don't miss our next adventure.
The grand vistas that we saw at Grand Teton were replaced by trees. Lots and lots of trees. Very nice trees, but not as pretty as Grand Teton. Well, not yet anyway. Traffic in Yellowstone can move slowly. We learned quickly that if there were a lot of cars parked along the road, there were probably animals. Bison, bears, wolves, all kinds of things. Also, slow-moving cars could create a miles-long string of traffic behind them. We'd heard Yellowstone was busy, but we didn't realize how busy. There was a vibe here that tourists kind of just do whatever they want, park wherever they want, take pictures wherever they want. It was frustrating at times.
I mean, you've seen the Tourons. I wouldn't trust us either, right? There is road construction here.
Awesome.
Mommy, looky. Look how Bush Graham. Old Faithful.
Aw, buddy.
Looky, Graham.
You made Old Faithful out of bricks?
Uh-huh.
That's cool.
Looky. Graham, show it in the near dad.
The 2-hour drive to West Yellowstone from Grand Teton wasn't too bad. The boys passed some of the time building Old Faithful models out of Lego. Road construction at Yellowstone is basically constant in the summer. Understandable since it's one of the most visited national parks.
Wow. What are they doing?
Holy shnikes, look at the line again there. That's cool, Pierce.
Thanks.
That's very good. You have a lot of good ideas.
Oh, there's a geyser. You can see
Oh my gosh, you can see it.
Oh my gosh, I
It's
saw
not
it.
erupting, but you
It's
can see.
found. You can see the geyser now.
You
And
can
this.
You can see the steam.
Right
Yep.
there.
Oh, there's a whole
Wow.
bunch.
Wow, wow,
What's
wow.
over there? That's the black sand basin. Yeah, look. Okay, what's over here?
Here's the
Upper Geyser Basin is over here. So look for steamy pots.
steam.
You saw one? Yep, I see it.
Oh, wow.
We reached Madison Junction, then turned west towards Montana. Can you believe it? We were almost to West Yellowstone.
Turn right onto North Canyon Street.
Keep going, I'll be able to get it.
Where are we going? What's our park called?
West Yellowstone
In
KOA.
1,000 feet, turn left onto US 20 West Firehole Avenue.
Yellowstone Park.
Left.
Yep.
Is it
Gas is
Yellowstone?
$3.57.
Where are we going?
To our KOA,
What's our KOA called?
West Yellowstone.
West Yellowstone. God. But it's not in Yellowstone.
Huh, look, stuff.
It's in West Yellowstone.
It is in Yellowstone?
This is not the road.
Okay.
The
It's
town
in the
that
west of Yellowstone.
the town of Montana that we are in is called West Yellowstone, Montana. Well, that looked like a pretty little town, right?
Yeah.
Slippery Otter. Club and Eater.
That's what it's called. That's awesome.
Yeah, Slippery Otter. How far is Bozeman from here?
I don't know, buddy.
Hour.
It's probably more than an hour.
We can check.
Continue on US 20 West for 6 miles.
Look at those. Look,
What?
moose on.
Oh,
look.
on the railings.
Moose.
That's cool.
This is the Targhee Pass Highway. It's also US 20, the same US 20 that runs through Erie, Pennsylvania. Anyhow, it's only a stone's throw, about 4 miles, from our KOA to the Idaho state line. More on Idaho later on. West Yellowstone was the first town we'd been in for a couple of days. We weren't exactly boondocking down at Grand Teton, but this town had some things we hadn't seen since we left the Black Hills. Very touristy, lots of cute shops and restaurants, and some expensive grocery stores and gas stations. There are a lot of different attractions, hotels, and RV parks. And of course, we did eat an amazing dinner at the Slippery Otter Pub.
Right now, maybe? Yep. Wow. There it is.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. They're dead, Crow. Run, Crow. Get out of here, Crow. Wow. Can you feel it rumbling the ground?
This evening eruption of Old Faithful lasted about 4 minutes. Getting to see it in real life is a bucket list event. But it's not compelling television, so I sped it up. Of course, there's a webcam you can watch in real time if you want. I'll put the link in the description.
Is that it?
Was it that awesome?
That was amazing.
It was awesome.
Another thing, and it took me till I was 45 to see.
A huge part of Yellowstone National Park is a caldera, and these geothermal features are really close to the surface. Geysers, fumaroles, mud volcanoes, and hot springs, among other things, are scattered throughout the park. We were excited to see the Grand Prismatic Spring from above a few days later on our hike to Fairy Falls.
It stops.
Yeah, it's kind of pleasant right now. And now it's freezing.
I feel like we're a little close for this thing to erupt. So even touching that will get...
I don't know.
What's the question now?
It is a crater.
These places smelled of sulfur, and depending on how the wind blew, could be very hot at one time and suddenly cool at another.
This is the Grand Prismatic Spring.
Horse hoof.
Buffalo. Yeah, that's buffalo.
Do you see that, Nate?
I do. Right here. Look up on that mountain. Yeah, look. That's where it is.
Yeah, how do we get to that? We'll have to do that another time.
Yeah, those people.
We need a ranger.
They seem to be kind of hard to find.
And their hooves are made out of thick fingertips.
Okay.
We learned a few days later from a ranger that bison walk across these geyser basins regularly. Their thick hooves protect them from the heat. We saw this firsthand a few days after that.
What's pale yellow?
Yeah, I bet that's some type of algae.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Microorganism.
Not pale yellow water.
The views here aren't the same as Grand Teton, but there is an otherworldly beauty here that is hard to describe. It's clear why this is one of the most visited parks in the world. We're headed to Norris Geyser Basin. This stoic fellow was just hanging out next to the road. Is this a basin bison?
We're headed to the Norris Geyser Basin, which is not the same as Morris the cat from the Meow Mix commercial. It's always a little kid they show in those pictures getting eaten by the geysers.
Alright, which way you want to go?
Right?
You want to go right?
Oh, the Norris Museum. I feel like I've seen this.
The Norris Museum was built in 1930 to help folks, many traveling without guides, to learn about Yellowstone. It's kind of a formal entranceway to Norris Geyser Basin.
So as we're looking at the things, we'll have to see if they are acting like they're being set.
I think we go straight. Oh my goodness. Okay, this is a place where we absolutely have to stay on the boardwalk, guys.
No question.
Oh, do you hear it?
Yeah, I hear it. Daddy's right there. Mom, but look right here. It's coming out of the ground right here.
Isn't that crazy, you guys? Oh.
Yeah, it's like right there. Does this one have a name?
Maybe there's a little sign that says high heat and low water.
Oh, there's H.
Heat, high heat.
It's like waves.
Wow. There's little holes in the hole.
Oh my gosh, look out there.
Where's G? I mean, yeah. No. J. I breathed it. I breathed it.
I have one that's gonna go off here a little bit. Oh, this is called Constant Geyser.
Wow. Let's see. Yeah, but we just started here and went there. They consider that a geyser?
That little wee guy.
Floating.
And there's like a steam pot right there.
Little brother, big brother. Wolves don't walk here. Bears don't walk.
You might be right. I bet you're right, Pierce. Oh. Yeah, there it goes again.
We've got to go back there. There's the devil.
So, yeah, that's amazing.
Doesn't smell like the devil.
You don't have to wait 90 minutes to see that.
Doesn't smell like the devil.
Not all of this trail is on boardwalks. That's interesting.
This thing's small. It's puny. One. Which one? This one's a bit smaller.
The whale's mouth.
Look at that stick under there.
I bet it's really deep.
Yeah. What eye, Brian?
Now you know sometimes when Dad and I say that to each other, why we say it.
Or where it came from.
I wonder if we'll see more tracks on the other side. Or the other tracks just got swept away by wind and sand.
Oh, that could be.
Or it came up on the boardwalk.
Where do you think this water goes eventually?
An ocean?
Oh dear, someone lost a camera lens.
What?
Oh, you're kidding. Kind of looks like a refinery.
I saw like a crater or something.
Different than what I've noticed before.
The pits.
Right? Do you see those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We saw a lot of bison footprints in places where human beings were not supposed to walk. That's why there were things like camera lenses and hats left in these basins. You're not supposed to go down and get them. We learned later that the bison are able to handle the hot temperatures due to their hoofs.
I mean, is it possible the animals are able to tell where to step?
They must be, right?
Yeah, or they'll fall in.
Never ignore the warnings at Yellowstone to stay on boardwalks. There seem to be many horrible stories, usually involving children, and they always seem to end with, all they could recover was the bones.
Okay, it erupted today.
Well, it does the minor eruptions frequently. It's the major eruption that's...
How big is the major eruption?
Great question, Pierce. Major eruptions of Steamboat Geyser have been measured up to 300 feet or 91 meters. Mature pine trees have been broken as a result of the downpour of water after the eruption.
No, keep talking. And will you follow us? Where are you going next?
Somebody get him a hat.
And like just how different this one looks, right?
Looks much more wastelandy.
It's about a 20-minute drive from Norris Geyser Basin to the Canyon Visitor Center, depending on traffic. Canyon has a lot of services: a gas station, lodging, groceries, outfitters, restaurants, gift shops, and autonomous vehicles. Of course, there are rangers and volunteers around with neat exhibits like moose skulls and bison pelts. This is the jumping-off point to see the upper and lower falls of the Yellowstone River.
Is there anything on there? Let's check the other side, see if it says something over there.
Whoa, look at this very informative sign. This trail is the brink of the upper falls. I'm right behind you.
Is this an authorized activity?
Oh, people.
Or I think we're gonna walk there.
Yes. That's amazing.
Let's go. Let's go around here so we can get a better view.
Not surprisingly, we wish we had more time here to explore this area. I often say that Yellowstone was not my favorite park that we visited in 2021. Then I see these things. I think our time in Yellowstone just went by so quickly. Maybe we tried to see too many things too fast. There's a lot of driving from place to place, and there are basically 10 spots in the park that highlight the major attractions. You could probably spend a week at each one. So really, 1 week there wasn't enough. We headed down Grand Loop Road to South Rim Drive to the area of Uncle Tom's Trail, the other side of the canyon. We wanted to see the Upper Falls and Artist Point.
Here we are in the South Rim Trail. This is the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone. We saw the Upper Falls. Now we're going to see if we can see the Lower Falls.
And we saw Crystal Falls.
What?
And we also saw Crystal Falls.
Yeah. Crystal Falls.
Daddy, how much was that bear spray?
$50.
Wow. Yellowstone. Actual Yellowstone.
Huh.
This is truly Yellowstone. It's a dry riverbed. Look. Crap, look.
I know, I can see it. Oh my.
Holy cow.
Well, this is something.
You think we see an eagle?
What? There.
Just flew up the river.
Oh, so this is what people were looking at, what we were looking at half an hour ago.
That's still the Upper Falls?
I think that's the Upper Falls. That's the, I think.
It's not the Upper Falls. This is Artist Point, and we're looking at the lower falls of the Yellowstone River. It's a bucket list view.
What's that black dot out there?
Where?
Where we see it?
I do.
This is about as close to the edge as I'll get.
Can we go back?
Yikes.
Again, a picture just doesn't do it.
Nope.
It's just that
This higher elevation is legit. Oh my goodness. I think we're almost there, guys.
The mud volcano at Yellowstone is located in Hayden Valley, an excellent spot to see wildlife at the park. It's not a true volcano in that it doesn't produce lava. Notice the gathering thunderclouds. The boardwalk for the mud volcano is only a half mile, but we were hoping to do the whole circle before the storm hit. Us and about 200 of our closest friends. Like everything in Yellowstone, this place was busy too.
Do not be fooled. Not the sizzling raisin.
We were moving quickly and we weren't turning around to go back. Also, the direction we chose to do the loop meant the mud volcano was at the end of our hike.
That's amazing.
Is that the mud volcano?
No,
What?
this is not the mud volcano.
What is it?
Sizzling.
This feature is called the Churning Cauldron, and it's near the top of the mud volcano area.
Yeah, they don't want you over there. I wonder why.
Is that the mud volcano?
That's not the mud volcano. What's it say, Graham? Can you read it?
Sour Lake.
Sour Lake. We are trying to beat the rain back to the car. We'll see if we do it. Here you go. A fumarole.
A sinkhole seems
There you go, Mom. It's
to be a sinkhole.
grizzly fumarole.
Every step, you took a step backwards.
Don't pet the fluffy cow. 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 Oh, don't pet the fluffy cow. Can we all just reflect for a minute on that bison we just walked right past? I hustled my children along and of course then had to stop and take a picture. Guys, that was definitely not the recommended 2 school buses away.
Let me guess.
This is the mud volcano.
We had to brave storms, wild animals, and tourists, but we finally made it to the mud volcano.
But I'd come back and see this anytime, you know?
Yeah, where the bears live.
After spending some time getting ice cream at the Fishing Bridge store, we headed down toward the east gate. Hopefully, we would see a grizzly.
Okay, you're looking down over this hillside, and there's all these dead trees, I assume pine trees. And there's a whole bunch of new pine trees growing up underneath them. And this whole hillside is like this. I'll swing around past the bathroom here. And I have to ask a ranger why this has happened.
Dead trees at Yellowstone are the result of fire and insects, among other things. This is the Lake Butte overlook, by the way.
Oh, you can also see some of the islands here in Yellowstone Lake. Again with the dead trees.
You can boat on Yellowstone Lake, however, it can be risky. The water is cold, even in summer, and sudden gusts of wind can create 3 to 5 foot waves.
Yeah, this seems much more wild over here, right?
All right, viewers, right in the middle of the screen down there, that brown dot, is a grizzly bear I can't see it very well here on the phone. We did get a chance to see it on a spotting scope. Looks like he's digging around in the ground there for some grubs or something, but that is a grizzly.
Yes, an actual grizzly bear. Katie jumped when she saw the bear in the spotting scope. Speaking of spotting scopes, we bought an inexpensive one from Amazon, and once we learned to use it, it was nice to have. It's by no means a professional model, but it's pretty good for a layperson. I'll put a link in the description. Since we were already this far out, we decided to go through the east entrance to the park. This place out here is pretty isolated. Yellowstone's as big as Rhode Island and Delaware combined, so it makes sense that there's all kinds of different geography. Beautiful, but lonely. So many different types of terrain in one park. On this one day in July, we saw Norris Geyser Basin, Yellowstone Canyon, the Mud Volcano, Yellowstone Lake, and a grizzly at the east entrance. You need time to explore these amazing places, and as we've said before, we really didn't plan enough.
You can hear it now that the big truck left.
You hear it, Pierce?
No.
Oh, there it is.
You hear it?
I hear it.
We left West Yellowstone again and headed up US 89 for Mammoth Hot Springs. On our way, we stopped at the Roaring Mountain. Don't worry, I couldn't hear it too well either.
You guys, look.
Rocks, rocks, rocks!
Right?
Look at these giant
We get out and climb them.
No, not
I
here.
think so. Oh, maybe you can.
Look out my window, Graham.
I know. What the heck?
What's in here? Is it just a turnaround?
Yeah, it's just a turnaround.
Well, I wanted to get the boys out.
Can we get out?
No, there's no place to
There's
park.
no place to park, sadly.
They probably don't want you climbing on these.
Yeah, they probably don't.
That was cool, right? So different.
The geography of Yellowstone continued to amaze. While the caldera area was interesting, the scenery really wasn't all that pretty. Soon, though, we were going to be treated to something we hadn't seen yet, a black bear.
We gotta get Dad over here. He's coming over. Where's Dad? Go to our school buses. We're not far enough away, Mom.
We actually got to make a very official bear sighting report at the Albright Visitor Center.
It doesn't
Ooh.
snow all that bad.
These boardwalks are on the surface of Mammoth Hot Spring, another geothermal feature at Yellowstone National Park. The travertine is left behind as calcium carbonate in the spring water cools. These springs are outside of the Yellowstone caldera, but the same magmatic system is the reason for the geothermal activity in this area. It's an otherworldly place.
It drains into the earth.
You think it looks like an arrow or a heart?
This park's will get the most embrace of the bear.
So it just must come out of the ground over here, right?
Yeah. Sun bears.
I don't think there are sun bears in North America.
There are.
There are some bears.
In addition to hiking the lower terrace area, we did drive along the upper terrace loop drive. Such creative names up there. Bath Lake, Orange Spring Mound, and my favorite, the Little Burper Spring. They're all up in the upper area. The bear we saw was walking across Angel Terrace. We started our hike to Canary Spring from the upper area. There was some parking there. We missed some of the sights we would have seen had we started at the lower terrace's north trailhead.
And it's almost like you can see like something in the middle of it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Stay close by, buddy.
Look at all the dead stuff. And then you see flowers down here. It's regrowing. And then it will die again. And then it will regrow and die and regrow and die and regrow.
Unreal.
Canary Spring is close to U.S. Route 89. Also known as Grand Loop Road, 89 snakes around the hot springs and down into the town of Mammoth, home of Fort Yellowstone and the very famous Mammoth Hotel and Cabins.
Okay, we're at Mammoth, the town of Mammoth in Wyoming. This is part of Yellowstone National Park, and we're just going to give you a little view here of the buildings here. Some of these I think are dorms, and it's almost like a college campus. So we're going to walk on down the sidewalk here, just a little bit, not too much. Isn't that elk poop?
Yeah.
Over here is probably from bison, maybe. Okay. Yeah, watch out for that. From soldier to ranger, the National Park Service Act was signed on August 25th, 1916. About 1 month later, on September 30th, 23 soldiers were discharged from the Army to be hired by the civilian agency as the first rangers in Yellowstone.
Seeing this building was a highlight for me. As we began planning this trip, it dawned on us. Why don't we email the national parks? See what kind of a response we'd get. We're hoping mostly for maps. Well, Yellowstone went above and beyond. Not only did we get the park map, we got the Junior Ranger books ahead of time, and they sent us one of those really cool postcards that when you move it in the light, it changes the image. This was the image.
Albright Visitor Center was the officers' quarters for Fort Yellowstone.
You
That way,
can get in here.
that way, that way. This way.
Despite not being very centralized, Fort Yellowstone in Mammoth is the administrative headquarters for Yellowstone National Park.
What kind of bear is that?
As with many national park visitor centers, there is a robust museum here, and a gift shop, of course.
Oh,
Come look how big yours are.
The boys wanted to take pictures of all of these animals at the Albright Visitor Center. Their interest in the pictures was our motivation to get them a couple of used cameras for Christmas this year. It will be interesting to see pictures from their perspective in the future. One of our favorite offerings from the National Park Service is the Junior Ranger program. Children complete a selection of activities and exercises from a workbook and then can be sworn in as a junior ranger for that specific park. They even get a badge. It's a way for kids to experience the parks on a deeper level and hopefully helps them create some good memories.
As a junior ranger, I promise to protect the cultural, natural resources of Yellowstone National Park. When I go home, I promise to share what I've learned with my friends and family. Congratulations.
Well, if you've seen our Benazet video, you know we like to visit elk. Here at Mammoth, the elk like to visit too.
Boyfriend, girlfriend thing? Mom, boyfriend, girlfriend?
I don't know when.
Because that's how we've seen the moose too.
Okay, we're approaching the Mammoth Hot Springs Hotel and Cabins. Very fancy.
This is a fancy hotel.
This is the map room.
This is the map room. Hurry and go check it out.
And it's just the contiguous. I gotta go to Mom. Only thing.
Some kind of hotel has existed here in Mammoth since 1883 and has historically been the first stop for visitors to America's Wonderland. The recent renovations included things like upcycled carpet, restored wood surfaces, and improved ADA compliance. The wooden map in the map room was painstakingly rehabilitated. The Roosevelt Arch is the first historic entrance to Yellowstone. Designed by Robert Reamer, the massive arch was originally meant for horse-drawn coaches. President Theodore Roosevelt placed the cornerstone of the arch, which later took his name. Gardiner, Montana is about the same size as West Yellowstone, Montana, and it has a lot of the same types of offerings: outfitters, restaurants, lodging. We only visited the area south of the Yellowstone River around the Arch Park area.
Yellowstone National Park, for the benefit and enjoyment of the people, created by Act of Congress March 1st, 1872. Oh, wow, wow! Look up, Mom. It goes up forever.
This was a big day. We'd already seen Mammoth Hot Springs, and we were now headed to the famed Lamar Valley to hopefully see some animals. We took a detour along the Blacktail Plateau Scenic Drive. We were assuming we could get some dinner at the area called Tower Roosevelt. The road from there to Canyon Village was closed, so we weren't able to use that as a last resort either. Choices were very limited. We could have eaten at the very fancy Roosevelt Lodge, but decided instead to have a gas station dinner. It wasn't the best meal of the trip, for sure.
All right, let's take a look, guys.
Our dinner of potato chips and cookies paled in comparison to this menu.
And this is why you come to Lamar Valley. Try to zoom in on that. Some baby buffaloes.
It's funny to remember how excited we were to see all of these bison. After a while, seeing bison became so commonplace. Tons of people are stopped. Wherever you see cars along the road at Yellowstone, there's a good chance wildlife is nearby. The road through Lamar Valley is US 212, also called the Northeast Entrance Road.
It would be pretty cool to see.
Those things make me think that
What?
they're animals.
Yeah.
Yes, Pierce, it would be pretty cool to see a wolf hunting. And while we didn't get the actual hunt on tape, it was too dark, we did see a wolf hunting an antelope later in the evening. Wolves were exterminated in Yellowstone in the 1920s. They were reintroduced to Yellowstone in 1995. This was done to help curb the ballooning elk population, which was overgrazing parts of the park. The results of the reintroduction program are mixed, and the debate over its success is ongoing. There are usually between 80 to 100 wolves in the park at any given time.
What is this? Crazy rock.
It smells a bit weird. Can we climb on it?
No. Soda Butte.
Do not climb on formation.
Do not climb on formation.
Soda Butte is the site of a mostly extinct hot spring, a little out of place in Lamar Valley, which does not have a lot of thermal activity. We saw this wolf chasing an antelope at Slough Creek. We even saw a bear on the way back to camp. Also, this video was taken after 9 p.m. The sun hadn't gone down yet.
So when we started planning this trip, we knew we were going to be at Yellowstone over the 4th of July weekend. And we planned for that. We knew it. I don't think we had any idea it would be quite like this, though. Well, here we are at Yellowstone Disneyland, going to take a hike on the Fairy Falls Trail. Us with
763,000 of them?
With us and a million of our closest friends. The parking lot is filled, the overflow parking is filled, and now we parked way up there around the corner because there's no room here. Because everyone comes to Yellowstone. I'll have to tell you what river this is later.
This is the Fire Hole River. Okay, please excuse the bad attitude. We had no idea how busy Yellowstone could be. I suppose smarter people would realize this fact, especially since we were there over the 4th of July. This trail, the Fairy Falls Trail, was nice and easy at this section, and of course, super busy.
Look at this smoking spring here. Steaming. Oh, you can see down into it. Oh my, look how deep it is.
See this relatively flat and wide path? Smooth, in fact. And see the hiking sticks. We make no sense. I did have on appropriate footwear.
It's half a mile from the trailhead to the overlook for the Grand Prismatic Spring. The overlook was finished in 2017 to alleviate damage along social trails that hikers had created over the years.
Oh my gosh.
I usually edit those types of things out, but I left it in just so you could see how amazed we were at how busy this trail and this overlook were.
But it was worth it. Look at this view of this thing.
Boy, you can get close to it here.
I wonder why the trees haven't burned.
The water's poisoned.
What?
Well, maybe it's not that hot out here.
Well, if you were expecting to see the actual Fairy Falls, I'm sorry to say you'll be disappointed. It was at this point we had a little bit of a bathroom emergency and we needed to find a restroom, which apparently they don't have a lot of inside the actual Yellowstone caldera. Something to think about if you're going to visit. We got to see Old Faithful erupt 3 times while we were in Yellowstone. There are huge boardwalks around the area for viewers.
Wow, this is higher than it was last time.
Old Faithful was named by the expedition that explored northwestern Wyoming in 1870.
And it's so different because of the wind, right?
Yeah.
It's fun to have seen it twice.
Currently, there's about 90 minutes between eruptions. Old Faithful isn't connected to any other geysers or springs in the upper geyser basin, and that's why it's so predictable. This section of trails here at the Upper Geyser Basin is part of the Continental Divide Trail, a 3,000-mile trail system through the U.S. from the Canadian border to the Mexican border, like the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail. We walked on a small part at Glacier National Park also.
Dirty fluffy cows.
No, dirty cow.
Castle Geyser, named by the same expedition that named Old Faithful in 1870, erupts around twice a day. We think we might have seen a small eruption.
Oh, look.
What was it?
Castle. It was a big spurt. 2 per day are typically recorded, except for right now, he's just shooting off every 30 seconds.
What is this called, Pierce?
Rusty Pool.
Looks like giant vat of Alka-Seltzer. There is what appears to be our daily Yellowstone thunderstorm over there. I think this one's rather spasmodic. Oh look, it is spasmodic.
This is the famous dusty bison from earlier. There was a ranger standing guard here, probably to keep people from stepping off the boardwalk and trying to get a selfie with the bison. The inn in the background creates a contrast between the natural world and the built world. We reminded ourselves often that we weren't going to be able to see everything, and that's again proven to be true. There are so many things to see at Yellowstone, it's obvious why everyone comes here. It's also notable how there's a lush mountain landscape on one side and a barren geothermal area on the other.
It's amazing how there's this bubbling hot water here, and over there is a creek or a river. Ah, we're coming out of the pine forest.
The Old Faithful Inn was built over the winter of 1903 and 1904. It's ranked 36th out of 150 of America's favorite buildings, according to a survey conducted by the American Institute of Architects. The stone fireplace weighs in at a shocking 500 tons. If you're familiar with the Fuselage from Disney's Planes, Fire and Rescue, you can see the resemblance between it and the Old Faithful Inn. This is the east wing of the Old Faithful Inn. It was extended in 1913. Well, after all that fun at Old Faithful, you wouldn't expect we'd just come back to the campground and roast weenies, right? The West Yellowstone Rodeo was just down the road and only about $50 to see. Who could pass that up?
Pennsylvania, you're a long ways home. You drove? Are you ready?
Do it, Pierce! There you go, buddy! Woo! Go, cowboy! Squeeze your heels! Wave! Woo! Lean back.
Back.
Hold on. You're doing awesome.
You look sick. You want a drink? Come on up and get a drink.
Woo, Pierce!
Get that arm up here.
Come on, cowboy. Lean back. Buddy, lean back. There you go. Wave. There you go. Yep, keep leaning back. You're doing great, bud.
As expected, there was a prayer and a nice rendition of the national anthem.
Folks, this is some of the best livestock in the business, and you'll be seeing more of them tonight. They're also some of the best treated livestock in the business. They get the best care, the best feed, and the best training, and they only have to work for 8 seconds at a time. Shoot the way he goes. And the way he goes, look at that cowboy go. And here goes the Canadian cowboy now. She's waiting just for the right moment, and here it is. She's got a fast calf making her way down to the arena. She's trying to catch up. He's all squared away in the box. He gives the nod. Let's hear it, folks.
The kids got to chase their own calf. Fluffy the rodeo clown led them through the warm-ups.
Can you guys reach down and touch your toes?
Let's go, kids!
Lean to one side. Now lean to the other side.
Hey, Fluffy, what are we doing?
We're gonna let out a bull.
We're gonna ride a bull?
Yeah.
All of them? Every kid on a bull?
No. There's gonna be a bull that chases them. All right, guys, I'm kind of tired. Can we all sit down? Everyone lay down. Everyone do dirty. All right.
There it goes.
Go, Colette!
I grew up in the rodeo capital of the East, North Washington, PA. This rodeo was pretty similar. I imagine most of the participants were employees of the rodeo outfit or local kids working on improving their rodeo skills. Rodeo events are a big deal out here, of course.
Let's bring her home.
All this time we've been at Yellowstone, we haven't mentioned the exceptional Yellowstone Park Westgate KOA. As you might imagine, the rates were more expensive than other KOAs, but there was a really great store here, a coffee shop, nice breakfast every day, and an amazing indoor pool. It was one of the better KOAs we stayed at.
Well, here she goes.
There was a change in participants when the bull riding started. Some of these guys were clearly aiming to make a break onto the professional rodeo circuit.
Here he goes! Canyon Seals, the cowboy that's up to go. He's getting all squared away now. He's got one ranked bull right there. Well, here we go, folks.
Don't worry, that cowboy walked away from the event. The bull never got to him. Eight summers. That's all we have left with our oldest until he graduates from high school. Our family goal to get to all 50 states before then is a monumental challenge that will be hard to overcome. We wanted to do something in Idaho. We knew we weren't going to stay there overnight, but we were going to drive through Idaho on our way to Glacier. Also, we wanted to avoid the craziness of Yellowstone on a 4th of July weekend. We didn't know anything about Harriman State Park, except it was less than an hour from our campground, and it was on the way to a Walmart in Rexburg. We wanted to shop at a Walmart one last time before heading into the more remote parts of northwestern Montana. Also, grabbing an Idaho geocache seemed like a good idea, checking off a state on another type of map we're tracking. When we got there, we headed to the Visitors Center for a detailed map and to solidify our plans for a good bike ride. Much to our surprise, we discovered the Idaho State Park system has a junior ranger program that rivals the National Park Service. It was hot. We weren't sure we had enough water, and we had packed our handy snack bag that helped us fill in the gaps between the inconsistent and random meals that we often had during this trip. Thanks to the All Trails app, we knew there was bike riding here, which was great. We'd dragged these bikes over 2,000 miles and hadn't really ridden them yet. When the Harrimans owned the property, it was called the Railroad Ranch, obviously a nod to the Union Pacific. The bike trail goes right through the buildings that make up the ranch, and we decided to keep riding on for a bit. We were trying to take the Silver Lake Trail. There was supposed to be an excellent chance to see wildlife on that trail. After we went through the railroad ranch, we took a wrong turn and headed down a dirt road that followed the Henry Fork River. The land that is now Harriman State Park at one time belonged to the well-known Guggenheim family and the not-so-well-known Harriman family. E.H. Harriman was on the board of directors for the Union Pacific Railroad. The family enjoyed spending summers out west at their ranch near Henry's Fork River. Okay, we're in Idaho, and you're looking at giant potato fields. Actually not. This is the bike trail at Harriman State Park, and we're on the 3-mile loop. There's a 5-mile loop also, but they have spotted a bear in that area. Even though I have my bear spray, I didn't think it'd be a good idea to go down there. Plus, it's about lunchtime and we're not really sure where we might eat lunch, so we don't want to be out here all afternoon. Anyhow, so this is a state park in Idaho. There was a fee to enter, which was interesting. It was $7 for us to come in today. This is an envelope, honor system kind of thing. We figured we would be riding bikes for about 4 miles or so. We could totally do that, especially after doing all 12 miles at M.K. Goddard State Park in Pennsylvania. One of Katie's actual favorite things to do is a family bike ride. Now, we've got to explain what this looks like for the DaubSquad. Pedal 150 yards, spot interesting things just off the path, a game trail, water feature, mud puddle. Ask closest parent if we can stop and adventure. Spend undetermined amount of time adventuring. After much cajoling by the parents, return to the bikes and ride. Repeat. Hey, don't get close to that river. It looks kind of rocky.
Dad, you want to try to skip the stone?
Sure. When we got to the bridge, we realized our mistake. We weren't going to see the Silver Lake sights. What's wrong here?
We're on the wrong trail.
Show me again.
We were supposed to be here. We are right here now.
But there's a cool bridge over here.
Okay. Well, we'll ride to the bridge and then go back. Have we lost them into this very raging river?
I hope not. Is it a river?
Yes, Henry River.
Henry River.
Henry's Fork River.
Oh.
We're always amazed at the trouble we have reading trail maps. We're pretty good on the road, and we really haven't gotten lost yet. We always seem to see cool things, though. We decided to go back to the ranch and take the tour. I wasn't sure the boys would want to look at buildings from the early to mid-1900s. Turns out they loved it. On our way back, we were delighted to see a lot of pelicans landing in the Henry Fork. On our hour bike ride, we passed nobody except some fly fishermen in the river. What a stark contrast to the busy trails at Yellowstone. I realize I have a tiny little vacation home that I drive around with. But what if my summer home was an entire town, or at least a small village? Kitchens and dining halls, servants and guest quarters, stables, a community building, and an amazing main residence. By the way, you can rent some of these buildings for around $200 a night. Looking at the map of this park, it makes me think of the many state parks that we have in Pennsylvania, and how some of them have trails and features we've never explored. We barely scratched the surface of this Idaho State Park. The summer houses and cottages here at the Railroad Ranch are likely very different than the homes the wealthy Easterners enjoyed during the rest of the year. Nevertheless, they weren't shacks. These homes were well appointed, and as the 1900s progressed, were updated with electricity and modern appliances. We also love this park because it was not Yellowstone. Don't misunderstand. Yellowstone, the oldest and the best, has that title for a reason. But Harriman State Park, less than an hour away from West Yellowstone, was just off the beaten path enough to make it charming, and it was a lot less busy. Visiting Harriman made us realize that we have been overlooking some treasures in our backyard, namely state parks in Ohio and Pennsylvania. Be on the lookout for some visits to Ohio state parks in the near future. We were in the Yellowstone area for 7 days. We could spend months there. When we return, we hope to see some of the things we missed. Thanks for watching. Give us a thumbs up on this video, and please remember to subscribe, click the bell, and comment below.